Well, I started camming in November of last year, towards the end of the month. So it's been about 7, 8 months for me now. It'll be a
Okay.
year in November, which is huge for me.
Maybe we'll have a check-in here in a few months, and then definitely right around the time of your camiversary and see how that's going.
Ooh. Oh no, it's not connecting. We're gonna get Yay, it worked!
Oh my goodness, that was craziness.
Girl, I'm loving
But thank
the
you for
look.
bearing with me.
No worries, girl. I love the look. Oh my god, I love the hair and all of it. It looks great.
I love the way that you look today. Your hair is giving me like girl group realness. I love it. You're giving me like pop star. Like, I love it.
Thank you. Oh, this is
You're
a different
welcome.
angle than last time. Did you rearrange a little
Yes,
bit?
I did actually. I have a new desk chair now, so I decided to see if I could play around with the space a little bit to incorporate it better because I was working in a little bit smaller of a space, but my room is quite big, so
Yeah.
I'll play around with it. And I found out, wow, I've got all this space. I should probably rearrange it to work with it a little bit better, so that way it's not so cramped all in one corner, which is kind of how it was before.
Yeah.
Now it's like there's room to breathe. It's nice.
I know. I can't tell if like even the walls, if they're like lavender colored, or are they white and then you just have the LEDs?
So they're like a weird off-white color that it's kind of like a bluish, and when I put the blue lights over it, it brings that blue out of the paint a lot more because it's like just a very pale blue. Like you can barely tell. You have to really stare at it. And when you put it up against the white siding, because there's white siding everywhere, then you can really see it. So
Oh,
the
that's
LEDs
great.
really just bring it out more, I think.
Yeah,
I like that a lot. It's my favorite color.
it's very subtle too. It's not, but it like enhances and it makes you stand out more. That's amazing. Like even a small little nuance like that, it can make all the difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I like it better than having stuff all over the walls because I feel like it's so hard to make stuff on the walls look good on camera.
It's true.
It looks good to me, but then on camera, like it won't be showing it the way that it appears to me, so it looks kind of messy. And I'm like, no, I think I'll just leave it there. I like the focus to be on me, anyways.
Yeah. Not too many tchotchkes around.
Yeah, not too many
yards.
tchotchkes. Oh my gosh, you're like the first person I've ever heard use that word. I swear that's amazing. That was a beautiful moment.
Yeah, I'm at home actually. So I was like, oh man, maybe the weather is like interfering with the signal because we're starting to get into like the really yucky time of year here in Seattle, and it
That's rough.
so sometimes like the internet will go in and out, and so I was like, ooh, maybe it is like the connection. But does it look okay on your end? Can you see
Yeah,
it
it looks
okay?
great.
Okay,
Your
good.
house looks amazing too.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
everything's beautiful.
Oh, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, we're at the 1 year mark for you, and I really just wanted to take some time to follow up and give us like a recap of your thoughts about your first year as a cam model and how it's been going for you. If it,
It's been amazing. I would love to do that. I'm really glad that you actually reached out to me. I felt so happy that you guys remembered that, and I just remember like kind of mentioning it briefly, and we didn't really talk about it that much, and I thought it was really sweet, just such a lovely gesture. You guys notice my growth, and you understand that it is such a huge deal to me. I feel like I've changed a lot since the last time we spoke, and in a good way. I have really carved myself out a lot more, and I was thinking about this while I was showering this morning. It's just so strange how, in such a short period of time, you can change a lot as an individual and grow a lot as an individual once you get a better grasp on what it is that you're doing. And I feel like that's what I've done. I'm not perfect by any means, but I feel like I really understand things a lot more than I did. Even when we first initially spoke, I feel like I've got a better grasp.
uh-huh. And this is just even beyond camming. Do you feel like you know yourself a little bit better as an individual because of this whole process that you've been going through um, over the past year?
Yeah, absolutely. Even in the way that I carry myself, even in the way that I feel when I wake up in the morning. I honestly feel like I've figured out what it is that I want to devote my life to, and because of that, I have a sense of calm and purpose. And I know that as long as I stay on that trajectory, I'll be okay. So I don't really worry that much anymore, and I feel a lot more confident in my own skin. And people around me and people that don't even know me, they notice that. And I've made more friends, I've gotten to know people more, and I've been really honest about what it is that I do.
Yeah.
And that's been really rewarding. It's changed my life fundamentally. If you had told me this time last year that I would be feeling this way, I wouldn't have believed you at all. I would have been like, you're nuts. I'm depressed.
There are so many different things that I want to ask you about. I guess I'll start with just your shows in general. Do you feel
Yeah.
like they have changed over the course of the past year from what you started
Yes.
out doing?
100%, without a doubt. There are things that I do now that I had no idea existed in the past, and there are things that I do now that are a direct extension of hobbies that I had. So right now I sort of focus on, I would say, five things, five aspects of female domination, and some of those aspects are things that are new to me, and some of them are things that I've been interested in for a long time. So it's kind of interesting that I have the ability to do something like that. In the beginning, I did whatever came my way because I didn't really know. I was struggling to find my footing. I didn't really have a sense of what kind of cam model I wanted to be. I just knew that it would happen at some point, that the realization would come over me and I would figure it out. And I kind of like different, like, I think that I took more instruction from people. I think that I was listening more as opposed to giving out orders, which is what I do now. Sort of grew. That sort of like, it came from within me and then it just ended up exploding, and now it's this very obvious part of who I am. It's really weird. I didn't expect it to happen, but yeah, I guess that's what happened. I guess it sort of found me.
Do you feel like you're taking the lead a lot more, even in terms of your shows, than?
Oh, yes, 100%. I'm always in charge of them. And I'm a lot more confident about, letting people know that I didn't want them to take over. I don't want them to take the reins, that I feel more comfortable being in control in general. It is so much more comfortable for me. So, yeah, always I'm the boss.
Have you figured out, like you're going through this on the day to day, like your routine have you figured out some sort of a system that works best for you in terms of scheduling, in terms of rituals that you do as well to prepare to get on cam?
Yes, I try my best to adhere to a rotating schedule because I find that since I've been doing this for a while, I have customers that have various time zones that they're in, and some of them are in Europe, so they're coming to me at like 11 p.m. or midnight, and then some of them live in the same time zone as me, so they're up at like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning for a morning show, or like 4 o'clock in the afternoon when they get home from work. So I have decided to split my time up. And sometimes I'll just have people schedule in advance. So I find that I spend a lot less time just sitting there waiting for people to come around because I know now when to expect people. But my time's all broken up throughout the day that I can. It's not just one. It used to be like I would sit there for one chunk of time. Now it's scattered throughout the day because I know when people are going to be around and I know when people aren't going to be around. So you kind of you do develop a flow, a schedule as a result of that.
Are you catching different types of clients as well, since you're rotating through different hours and different days? Like, maybe the ones that want just like a quick in and out, late at night, or during the day, and then the ones that want maybe a longer session at night.
Yes, I have some people that I don't really have much of a relationship with or know very well at all. Um, any details about them whatsoever. They won't even speak very much during our shows, and it'll kind of be weird because I can't tell how they're reacting or how they're feeling. I can't see them or anything either. And there are some people who, just last week, I had a hypnosis session that lasted for hours, and that person is somebody who I've cultivated a relationship with over time, and I know them and we know each other. So yeah, oh my gosh, totally different. Some people are like lifestyle sexually oriented. They know a lot about the power exchange. They know a lot about BDSM. They're very into always being submissive. And there are some people who are not like that at all. They're alpha most of the time. And then they come to me to change the pace and switch gears, I suppose. Yes, very different people.
Like energy play a little bit. They come to you. These alphas come to you.
I tell people this. I'm like, I don't know if you feel it, so you can tell me if you think I'm crazy for this, but I feel an energetic exchange when I do have shows with people because I am so passionate about it. You really are paying attention to how they're reacting to what you're saying, and you can feel it. It seeps into your mind. Your intuition catches on to it too. It's really interesting, and I'll feel really kind of exhausted after a show sometimes, mentally and emotionally. Like I'm just sitting here sometimes, but I'll still feel completely and totally famished and tired after a session just because the emotional and mental energy exchange is quite intense.
Yeah, definitely. I can imagine that too, especially it sounds like you're putting a lot of focus on some of these sessions. And so I'd imagine that it would take a lot out of you at the end of it. So how are you finding balance then? Speaking of, between obviously it sounds like you've got a good staggered schedule, but
Yes.
Are you working outside of this right now, or you're in this full time still?
This is full time. This is all that I do. I feel like it's really important for me to sort of be a workaholic about it. And see, that's the thing. It's not just spending time on cam. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes when I'm not even on cam. And there's no way to do this without that taking over your life. I just feel like it's not possible. If you're really serious about this and you really want to have some sort of big impact and this just isn't a job to you, it does become a part of your life. There really is no concept like being without it. And I wouldn't change that because I like having it that way. It's not for everybody, that's for sure. But I do find myself, I don't really know if I have a balance. Even my friends will tell me that I focus on work a lot. They tell me this all of the time. So I don't think there is one, but I don't want it that way. I'm 23. That's how it should be for me right now, in my mind. I think that if I really want to create a substantially decent future for myself, I have to put in the work to make that happen, or else it's going to be a fleeting dream, and that's it.
Yeah, I can imagine that there are some real emotions tied into this, especially if, maybe it's not that great of a day on cam, or maybe things are slow or you had an asshole come and stop by and just totally killed your vibe. Like, how do you stay motivated if you were to give the fledgling cam girl that just signed up and she's like, I don't, how am I supposed to make anything of this? What would you tell that person?
I think I would tell them that there is something to be said for someone who can persevere throughout all of that. It is a totally natural human reaction to get really upset, even devastated at some of the cruel things that people can say. And because we're on the internet, it gets really nasty, the vitriol that people will spit. And I've been on the receiving end of that so many times, more now since I've been a cam model than ever before because you're putting yourself out there. And I used to respond to it. And it used to end up being like a big, long, drawn out, drama filled ordeal that wouldn't end. I've had instances of people arguing back and forth with me for weeks and making little squabbles a big deal. And then I realized at that point that it's best to ignore it. My advice is to ignore that stuff and to not acknowledge it because that's what people feed off of. I know it sounds so cliche, but it's true, especially when it comes to the internet. People are looking for a reaction from you. They want to see you get hurt. They want to see you cry and get angry at them. You can't give it to them.
Yeah. Otherwise, they're just like, they're leeches. They leech
They
your,
are. They will,
your energy.
They will. They will suck you dry. They will take your energy from you. I call it those people emotional vampires. That's what I think those kinds of people are. They're depressed. They don't have a good life. So they look for people who are, doing their thing, living however they please, however they choose to, and want to take that from them. So that way they can feel good. And, if it bothers you, I say just log off. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Just log off and take a moment to gather yourself and separate yourself from the computer. Go outside. walk a little bit, and then just like let it go, and then leave it there, and then come back to work and leave it at that door, and then don't let it be something that impacts you. I've done that so many times, and I regret letting people have that much power over me. Really do. It's not okay. They don't deserve it.
This is all trial and error, though, right? And everyone, every single model, every single person that is on the internet is going to encounter those situations.
Yes.
It's just, yeah,
You think that it won't happen to you or that you can prepare for it, but no.
Yeah.
It does happen. It's normal. You just get used to it. There are all sorts of things about camming that are totally different and removed from just about anything else that you could do. But a lot of the same rules that you would use in your real life apply. If somebody shouted at you, outside, you wouldn't give them the time of day, so don't do it here. Just let them be evil and miserable. That's what they deserve.
Solid advice, and especially I especially agree, and I tell people, if you're not having a good day, if someone is getting you down or you're frustrated or whatever, yeah, step away from the webcam. Seriously, go.
We
for
can
a
do
walk.
that. We're
Yeah.
cam models. We have the ability to take a break if we need to take a day off if we need to. That's important. We don't, I mean, yeah, of course we want to work hard, and we want to make a really good impression. We want to have decent impact. We want to learn a lot and improve our businesses. But at the same time, you're not really going to flourish if you don't take care of yourself at the end of the day. So self-care, take a day off. If someone's really bothering you, take a day off to just breathe and let yourself get rid of all of that and exhale for a moment, and then you can go back at it the next day with more confidence and steam to power straight ahead.
Right. It's taking care of yourself is so important, and I think it's really easy to neglect that when you're just thinking of, I need to meet my numbers, I need to get at least like one good show tonight in before I can log off. It's so easy to get trapped in that mentality.
That's so true.
Yeah. Take care of yourself, put yourself first, right?
I agree, and I know it's hard for people to do that. I know it seems like a really selfish thing to do, but once you do that, then you can help other people too.
It's true.
So that's a good thing.
So I've noticed that you're very active a lot more so these days on like Instagram. I love your snippets that you are uploading, and even like it's very intriguing too, like the whole hypnotic aspect to it. Is that your favorite or your preferred platform as far as social media goes?
I really do like the Instagram audience a lot more, and it's been that way always. Even before I was a cam model, I've always liked Instagram more. I just really don't like the fact that they don't allow nudity. It bothers me so much, but thankfully, I have not been reported yet, so it is yet to be a major issue. I just think that community is more interested in the visual images and less about, what we're talking about or what we're typing, our statuses, and that works better for us because a lot of what we do is pictures and GIFs and video snippets, so people respond to it so much more over there. And I find people from the random recesses of the internet or like just like liking my stuff, and that's really cool. I don't really get that on Twitter. It seems to be more restricted. I might be shadow banned. I'm starting to think that I am.
I think we're all kind of paranoid about that, and so now we're also like creating separate backup accounts. I noticed since the whole Twitter thing, especially this past weekend, people have all of these backup accounts have started following, and then like, hey, please follow back. This is my backup account.
Yeah, I have noticed that more too.
Oh man.
That's the day and age that we're living in. It kind of sucks, especially for us. What we do is graphic in nature, and I don't like just some bitter person thinking that they can report a picture or something of ours, and then our entire account gets taken down. I see it happen to us cam models and sex workers and drag queens the most, interestingly enough.
Yeah, right. But then they'll create another backup account, and sure enough, they're like, 2/3 of the way back to their following within a couple of weeks. So
I think that's a really good idea, especially the people that do have it set up well in advance. So that way they don't lose their, in some instances, tens of thousands of fans. It's really hard to get all those people back. So when you have your backup account ready with the followers already in tow, then you're good to go. That is kind of ingenious.
But so with camming now, I know like the big thing is also pre-recorded clips, and are you utilizing that as well to supplement your cam
Oh
there as well?
yes, it's such a big deal. People love clips. People like them because, well, they're pros and, well, not, there's no con to either. I'll take that back. They both have their qualities that people enjoy about them, and the cool thing about making content is it lasts forever, you know. Unlike a cam show, if it's not recorded, you may not be able to see that again. But when you're purchasing content, you can watch that as many times as you want to. And if you want to purchase custom content, then you can make it geared to you and have them say your name and all the stuff that you want to see. So it provides a different and unique extension of the experience. And I would say that making content has become one of my favorite things because you get to be so creative. You have time to plan out props. You can be much more elaborate than you would with your cam shows, because when you're making something, there's all this stuff going on behind the scenes. When you're camming and you're trying to pull something with lots of stuff behind the scenes off, it can be really difficult and messy. But when you're making a video, you can just cut all the messy stuff out and then put it together nice and seamless, and nobody will ever know the difference. So
Right.
I like that ability too.
And there's value there too, even with clips. You know, that if anything, I feel like that's just promotional material too
It
for your
is.
cam and vice versa, right?
A lot of people do use segments of their clips as promotional material. It's a really great way to get people interested and to generate interest for people to want to know what happens next. They'll see a little clip of yours and they'll be like, oh, now I want to see what they're up to now. Now I want to see the rest of this video. It's a really smart technique, especially now. People are accustomed to memes and images and GIFs, and it's literally one of the most solid marketing techniques. I think that will continue as a trend for the foreseeable future.
Right. And I mean, so long as you have the time to invest to develop your content in that manner and really essentially develop your brand overall and your, you know, your whole aesthetic, then
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely think that's a great tool.
I
What do you feel like you have gained over the course of the past year? What is the biggest takeaway that you've gotten from spending time on cam? You know, what because essentially it's not just, oh yeah, I'm just going to log on, log off, and then there's nothing else to it. So
Right.
what has been the biggest takeaway for you?
I think the biggest takeaway for me has, oh man, this is hard because there have been so many really positive things. I just, honestly, the biggest thing would be this sense of self where I feel like I can do anything now. Um, I never saw myself in this kind of situation, and even when I first told people who I knew that I was doing this, they were all very surprised. It was all very unexpected for them, and I kind of liked that. I kind of liked everybody thinking that I was just some goody two shoes, you know, who couldn't do anything besides the normal like 9 to 5 kind of thing. I liked thinking that I was able to overcome that and do something completely different, do something that you don't see very often, and something that gives me the ability to be in control over my life. I think that autonomy is really important. I think that it's really important to be able to work for yourself, or to be able to have something that's yours. And I feel like my career, my vision, that's mine. And it doesn't belong to anybody else, and I can take it in any direction that I want to. And before that, I don't really think I felt that way. Like, I've been a supervisor before, I've been in charge of people before, and that's cool, but it never felt rewarding. It never felt redeeming like this does. I actually love to tell people what I do now. I love to get into conversations with them about it and educate them and introduce them to something that they maybe have never heard of before. That is really cool to be that person. I never thought that I would be, but I am. It's changed a lot. That's
Yeah.
it.
And with the ability to do and take it in any direction you want, I mean, it does show your versatility being able to go from a vanilla job to this and having your own creative ideas and molding it into, you know, what you have today a year later. That's awesome. That's really amazing
I
that you
agree.
did that.
For all of us cam models, we are not often told what it is about being a cam model that can be applied in the real world or in other jobs. But there are lots of things that we do that we don't even have an official title for that is essentially something that somebody would just get paid for otherwise, but just in a different setting or for a different company. So they're like from social media management to marketing, there are all sorts of things that we're really good at doing, creating our own content, video editing, image editing, using Photoshop, all of those things. Those are real skills. Those are real world skills.
Right.
Like you can apply those in other places, and that's amazing. You learn to do all kinds of things with camming that you never thought you would do. It's true.
It's true. I've even seen people get into more of like the programming side and like they've created their own websites and like, yeah.
Yes,
Oh
and
my
they're just
goodness.
revolutionizing. It makes me think of Joey Kim from Joey Kim TV.
Oh, yeah.
A really popular model who got her started on MFC. She's revolutionizing live streaming. Like you wouldn't look at a cam model typically if you had no idea what they were. The average person is not going to think, oh, they're amazing. They're going to probably look at us a little bit weirdly because they're not very familiar with what it is that we do. But we are revolutionary. Like we are on the cutting edge. People are going to start to become jacks of all trades and Renaissance men and women. They're going to start to learn things and create their own businesses. The future is entrepreneurship and learning how to take care of all of these things on your own before you can hire other people to do it for you. And I feel like we're all kind of like about to ride the wave of that. It's really exciting.
So if any people that are looking for what's trending right now on the internet, what is, what are people doing as far as social media? Really, they could just look at any cam model out there and see what is she doing with her business because you guys are, I swear to God, you're like on top of every single trend or if anything carving new trends.
Exactly. And it's really remarkable to see that.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. I feel like now more so than ever. Cam models have been around for a while, but they're really starting to have a massive impact. It's kind of crazy. Cam be becoming more mainstream, and people will look towards cam models to become brand ambassadors for other sorts of brands that aren't sex work oriented. Things will change. It will be very revolutionary. I'm excited for it. I like the idea of people actually seeing, what it is that we're capable of and wanting to use that to their advantage, but also like learn from it too, and not just give us one of these or ignore us or something like that. We have a lot to offer people.
Absolutely.
There's so many lovely, talented cam performers out there.
And all they need to do is just do a simple Google search and they can see your whole history of exactly what you've been able to do. Yeah.
It's so true. And it's actually really cool that we can do that. I love being able to do that. It's kind of like our own digital portfolio in a sense, especially for people that have been around for years. That is probably the most inspiring thing to me. When I look at somebody who's been around for like 5-10 years and I'm like, wow, look at how they've grown. That's going to be me if I keep working at it. Like they have figured it out. They just stayed on board, did what they had to do, put in their time, attracted their clientele. It's remarkable. It truly is.
So as a Camgirl of 1 year, do you feel any kind of pressure, or did you even in the beginning or now, as far as keeping up with what all of the other cam models are doing? I know that it would be really easy to fall into that because you're online. Of course, you're going to check the website. You're going to go to Streamate and see, oh, like who's on page one. And do you feel that kind of pressure, or to even compare, yourself to other models?
A lot more in the beginning. It was actually so terrible at first because I didn't really feel like I could be on the same level as so many other cam models. You feel mesmerized when you watch a lot of the top girls or the people that have been around for a long time. They really have a handle on what they're doing and they look so graceful while doing it. They make it look so easy. And then, especially if you have a hard day, you start to wonder like what it is that's wrong with you that you can't do that. But as I have matured more and become more confident in my skills, I find it really hard to pay attention, often neglect, showing my face around forums or stuff like that, just because I am so much more focused on what it is that I'm doing. It became very clear to me that if I'm so focused on what other people are doing, then I'm not really focusing on me. I'm not focusing on what I could do to better myself, to work on my insecurities, or what it is that's going to make me happy so I don't feel like shit anymore. So now I don't. Now I just realize it's a trap. it's just it's not healthy to do unless you're there to admire someone. If you are feeling insecure, it's natural and normal to do that, but there comes a time where you realize like, okay, am I gonna sit here and feel this way about it, or am I gonna take control of the situation and do something about it? And I think that pretty much the general consensus, based on what I've read online, is that that's pretty much how it works with a lot of cam models. Like in the beginning, you care more about that kind of thing, but then as time goes on, you realize it's really not a big deal. You realize that just because you're not in the top row doesn't mean there's not anything that you could do, or that there's something wrong with you. Like that is not the case at all whatsoever. Like there are still people there for you. You're not a lost cause, and there isn't even enough room at the very top row for all of us anyways, so there's no reason to freak out over it.
There
They're
you
gonna
go.
fit a certain number of people up there. What do you want?
Right. Well, I mean, it doesn't need to be a bad thing. Like,
No.
look at the experienced people that have found success in it, and if anything, just draw inspiration, right? It doesn't have to be a, what am I doing wrong? Or, it's so easy to like bash ourselves or,
Yes.
feel like we're somehow falling short, if we're not at the same level. But no, that's no, that's and also, yeah, it's true. You can only get like so many. You can only get so many
Yeah.
profiles up
So
there.
everybody could be doing amazingly well, and still, like, there can only be so many people on the top row.
Right.
So don't take it so personally. And honestly, the thing that's great about Streamate and placement is if you work really hard, you can improve your placement. You can get on the top row. It's about putting in the time and feeling motivated to do it. But I've seen people climb. I've climbed before, not to the top row, but I've climbed rows before. It happens. Like, just do it.
Girl, you were on page one. What are you talking about? I've seen you on page one before, just randomly,
Yeah.
like checking in on the site. So no, you're there.
Yeah, no, you're you're right.
Climbed rows to page one. Yeah, no, you're there. Clearly, you're doing something right.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, do you have? It sounds like you've been talking to people about what you do, and you're very confident in it and very passionate about it. Have you found support whenever you tell people this, about yourself?
Yes. I actually don't really have anybody freak out on me.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the last time I went to travel, I traveled for a concert and met two people there that put me in contact with a dom from a physical dungeon in a city that I plan on moving to in a few months. And we spoke to each other, and she gave me references for the headmistress and like got me a physical contact so I can work physically in a dungeon as a professional dominatrix. Like, and it would not have happened if I had kept my mouth shut and didn't say anything. But as soon as I told them about it, they're like, oh man, my friend's a dom. Like, let me put you in touch with her. She could totally help you out. I was like, man, the payoff can be huge if you tell people sometimes. It can be dangerous too, though. It can be scary. But it's a risk I'm willing to take because I don't want to live my life as a lie. I think I deserve to be proud of what it is that I do, especially since I feel so accomplished sometimes. I don't know. I hear people brag about their good days. I would hate to have to keep that to myself if I have a really good day. And also, if I have a shitty day, I need to be able to talk about it, without having to lie. I would hate to have to lie to everybody I know and not really be able to be transparent with them about what's going on in my life. It feels so weird to me. But at the same time, we don't necessarily live in a world where there's 100% acceptance for what it is that we do. So there are some of my family members that don't know, whereas my friends are more accepting of it. So it's kind of weird.
You're still filtering between, maybe family members and just basically which people can handle it and might be understanding.
Yes, like my mom doesn't know. My mom doesn't know at all. My little brother doesn't know. Like, my aunts and uncles don't know, my cousins don't know, but my friends do, my really close friends do, and I'll tell like a random stranger because I don't care about what a random stranger thinks of me, but I don't, see the thing is, I'm really proud of what I do, but my family doesn't really understand it, and I know that they would be so weird about it, and even though my mom says things like, oh, I support you in anything that you do, if she found out that I was doing this, she wouldn't understand it, and she would say something hurtful that she didn't mean, like, oh, you're wasting your potential or you're wasting your talent. I don't view that as this at all. I feel like there's a huge misunderstanding about what it is that we do, and people don't think that there's any validity in it or anything redeeming, or that it's not permanent, so why are we devoting so much time to it, or you're going to have to stop soon, or any bit of misinformation that you could possibly imagine. That's what a lot of people think, and I don't want to hear it. Like, I would just rather wait until the time comes at some point if I have to, and I guess cross that bridge when I get to it.
Yeah, all in good time.
Scary.
I know. No, girl, seriously, it took me like 6 years before I told my family that I was in the industry, and I'm not even a performer anymore. So it took a
You
long.
understand exactly where we're coming from then when we talk about things.
Yeah.
That is so important. Not everybody will get it. They won't.
Yeah.
They won't understand the shortness of breath or the panicky feeling that you get when you think about these things.
Yeah.
Because you feel bad. I don't want to tell my mom like that I just work from home taking calls for Mac or like Apple computers, which is what she's under the impression of.
Oh, really? Just tell her you work for
Yeah.
Amazon, because I think like almost everyone does outside of camming now. They all work for
Yeah,
Amazon.
it's believable, and it explains like my money and stuff without it being weird. Like, are you sure that you work at a juice bar? I don't believe you. I had to change that a little bit.
No, yeah, if I understand though why you would hesitate to tell some family members, especially because like also it's a generational thing for one, and two,
Yes.
it's kind of an assumed thing that it might change the relationship between you and
Yeah.
that individual for who knows how long. Like there are people in my family that just look at me like, oh, all they can think of is just porn. She works in porn, and that's all they, and then it's super awkward now. It has cut relationships. I've had to cut some relationships because of it. But you know what? That's something. If you are passionate about it and you feel like you're growing and you're getting something out of this, and you're being safe, then honestly, you have the support of people in our community, so just keep doing what you're doing. And
I really appreciate you telling me that, because that is just so important to hear from people, especially about something like this. That's like one of the most anxiety-inducing topics for me, especially because I love my mom and she's like my best friend, and I feel so bad for not telling her sometimes. But at the same time, I don't want to jeopardize our relationship. I'm okay with things being a little bit weird for the time being until I can see whether or not it's possible to make headway in the future. So I really appreciate you sharing that with me. That put a lot into perspective for me.
Well, and she is your mom. I bet you know what, she's gonna love you either way. No, no doubt. I don't think that'll ever
I'd be
change,
really
but-
surprised if she disowned me. I'd be like, really, Mom? I thought you loved the hell out of me. I'm really surprised.
I love you, but only to like right here, right to this degree, and then you're done. Get out.
Yeah.
It's okay. I have your little brother still.
Yeah.
Me too.
He'll be the one to be the normal white collar guy.
Yeah.
There you go.
To wrap this up, what are your prospects for the near future? Do you have anything exciting that you would like to share, or maybe any projects that you have started or are working on? You mentioned getting in touch with the dungeon, the dom at the headmistress at the dungeon. So is that something you think you're going to pursue?
Yes, 100%. I want to work in the online space still, but I think that it's time for me to find more of a balance outside of my home too, just to kind of be good in my head. So I think that'll be a really good way to do it. And you develop a different skill set, especially in the realm of corporal punishment or impact play, like caning and whipping. And that's something that I do want to learn more about in a safe space with somebody who has the real world experience and isn't going to hurt anybody. On top of that, something that I've dedicated a lot of my time to recently is a series on feminization, which has become my favorite fetish over time. It is an entire series. It's growing and developing every week, and it's just something that I'm really proud of. That they take me the longest. They're the longest for me to make. They're the most visual effects heavy. Those are the ones that I've paid extra close special attention to isolating my vocals to. So those are the two things, focusing on my video series for feminization and seeing that through to its completion, and working professionally in a physical setting as well.
Awesome. And you know, that's really great to hear too that you were able to make some physical contacts because that is important to find people and make a little network for yourself, you know, to have
Yeah,
that
yeah.
support. That's awesome. And I'm so proud to hear that you're doing so well still. I mean, you
Thank
seemed
you.
very confident whenever I talked to you this past summer, but you know, fast forward, you know, 4 months. When was that we talked? Like June.
Yeah, I
It was
think
like 5 months ago.
so.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
June, I think. So I know, right?
That's crazy.
It's crazy the things that change. I mean, it is still you, but I can definitely sense more of a even more passion in your tone and
Oh, thank you.
yeah,
That means so much to me.
that's great. No, it's really awesome. And it's awesome just to see, like I said, you know, I'm just like scrolling through and seeing like how your content is like shifting and evolving even on Instagram. It's great.
You
I
are phenomenal.
I appreciate you taking the time today and you look wonderful. Keep up everything you're doing.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Okay, girl. Well, have a good day. I'll talk to you soon.
You too. I will talk to you very soon.
Okay.
Bye bye for now.
Bye.